Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I'm your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrill. This week, we're going to discuss a multitude of topics. We have 3 on the agenda, and we're going to start with the one championship fights from last night. Last night would have been Friday, April the 5th. A very good mix of competitions on there between submission grappling, Muay Thai, and MMA. Right?
And kickboxing.
And kickboxing. Yeah. And it was a ring event. Meaning sometimes they have events in a cage, sometimes they have events inside the boxing ring. And, we see how that plays, like differently.
And you know what's weird? I don't like the ring at all.
I don't like the ring.
Unless it's in Lumpini. And I'm like, this feels right.
Just because, the feel of tradition and stuff. Yeah, I don't like the ring. It's just it clearly impedes.
And honestly, I don't think it's better for any of the sports. Striking sports or grappling.
Yeah.
Or, MMA, obviously.
Wow, we just started off with a whole different topic than we discussed that we were going to talk about.
I mean, this is what
This
happens.
could be a whole, segment or an episode, and we didn't even get to start with the things we were going to talk about.
Also, I have no talking points on this, but,
That's it! That's how life with Listen to Your Coaches is. That's why we started this podcast, because this stuff would happen. And we were like, people probably would want to hear it.
But with that said, I do have some points off the top of my head that I think are important.
Let's hear them.
One, I think in a cage you see better, right? Because the ring ropes, they're not that thick, right? They're an inch and a half thick.
Yeah.
But especially if you're close to them, they can actually impede way more than just the wire from mesh.
Yeah.
Also, the turnbuckles, they're kind of the same size, but they're longer. You know what I mean? And because of that, when you turn at different angles, it impedes your view in different ways.
Dude, I fully agree.
Yeah.
When you look through a cage too, sometimes you don't see the cage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it kind of disappears on you.
Yeah. It's if you have a face mask in football, a lot of times you don't see the face, you know what I mean? You're so used to looking that you those bars just disappear.
I wouldn't know about that because I never played football, but that actually makes sense because in the same way that, so you know how your eye has a blind spot?
No.
Okay, so your eyeball is a ball, right?
Yeah.
And then on the back of it is the cords basically that connect it to your brain. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, that part of your eye isn't functional as an eye.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there's a dot where you don't actually see anything. But the reason we don't see dots, one, because we have 2 eyes, but 2, your brain fills that in. So if I'm looking at that white wall, it's not going to be a black dot on that wall. My brain just fills in oh, there's probably white there. You know what I mean?
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
Does it use AI?
Kind of. It's the OG AI.
Yeah, there it is.
But yeah, no, that definitely happens with a cage. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And I just I'm trying to think. Was it in the Cade Rotullo match where they were kind of over a rope? Yeah, there was a section of the Cade Rotullo match against Francisco Lowe, which was a really exciting match, especially for people who follow Jiu Jitsu. I could see as if you don't follow Jiu Jitsu that well, not knowing maybe not knowing who Francisco Lowe is, and the fact that he himself's a world champion and.
I didn't know, and I still love the match.
That's why I'm saying it, because you were like, yeah, dude, who was that dude? He's a world champ, bro. I was like, that's a good match.
Yeah, I know.
Because it does seem sometimes when the Rotullos do their matches in one, it's a foregoing, it's just dude, it's this is just for them to show off, except for when Ty went against Gary, even though he kind of smoked Gary.
He grappled Gary in one?
Yeah, he darced him in under 2 minutes.
Dude, I didn't think I saw
on the same card. I'm not 100% sure, but it might have been the same card that Cade went against Shinya Aoki.
Wow, those are
but
two
it might
really big
not
matches.
have been the same card as that. Well, here's the thing: Gary's super legit.
You know what? I don't think it was. Oh no! I'm thinking Mikey Musumeci versus Shinya Aoki. Yeah, maybe they were on the same card.
Yeah, I think it was that same card, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But when you think about Ty and Gary as well, though, you think about here's the thing, man. Their sizes throw me for a loop. For example, at the 2022 ADCC World Championships, Ty competed in the 88 kilo division. Gary competed in the 66 kilo division. Mm-hmm. That's 22 kilos apart.
Say Ty's a big boy.
Yeah, so that's 145 to 194. Now here goes what I recently found out. Ty does not weigh 194.
Wait, really?
No, he's competing undersized in the 88 kilo division. He from my understanding, walks around between like 82 and 85.
Dude, that's wild because last night he competed at 85.
Yeah, and he weighed in at 182. He failed the first hydration. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, the first 5 people to weigh in failed hydration, right? And I think, especially in Ty's instance, I think he was surprised because from what I understand, he didn't cut weight. He just he was like, I'm not like cutting weight, so like, why am I dehydrated? Type thing. Why is it showing dehydrated? But the first 5 failed hydrations.
Dude, that's crazy. Wait, so hold on. What happens when they fail hydration tests?
They have to do it again. You like
have to get rehydrated but still be on weight?
From my understanding, yeah. I'm not sure.
Interesting. Do you think the UFC is ever going to implement something like that?
No, I don't. And I don't think they should. Just let it be how it is. Who cares? It's part of the game.
On that. Yeah, see, that's the thing is like I want to be like it's part of the game and you have to get good at it, and if you go too far there's downsides to it, but on the other hand I'm like it is really dangerous.
Again, and I don't care if it's dangerous.
But fighting's dangerous too. So like,
yeah, I don't care. Yeah. Dude, I did it. I cut massive amounts of weight.
Yeah, you were on the extreme side of things.
But the thing is it's like where do you put your time, effort, and investment? And like it's a strategy in itself, Like again, in complete LTYC tradition, wildly off topic of what we were supposed to talk about. But like it's like, all right, do I spend more time training striking or grappling? Do I spend more time in the weight room or on the mats? Do I spend more time? Do I cut more weight and have a size advantage, or do I cut less weight and have likely an energy advantage, or at least a brain, not get knocked out as easy because my brain's not dehydrated advantage, right? It's all like, it's like you're taking these little parts and you're creating your character,
right?
It's like, all right, where do I want to put my attribute points? I only have so many, so I'm going to spend 12 on striking, and I'm only going to do 6 on grappling, and I'm going to put 20 on my weight cut, so it's just like
it gives you more options within.
And it's just part of the sport. It's how it is, and to change it, I think would be a dramatic. It'd be a dramatic step because as soon as you change it, weight classes dramatically change.
Oh yeah. And also, that's kind of like a big part of certain people's games. Like the first person who popped in my brain, and obviously, dude's skilled and everything, but like Alex Pereira, you know what I mean? Like him at 85, part of what makes him great is that he's enormous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's, pretty important.
Right. When I think of like people like way too big for their weight class, I think of like Rumble Johnson at 70.
Oh my God, yeah.
He ended up being one of the biggest 205ers and probably fought some heavyweight, I think.
He fought Andre Arlovski.
Okay, yeah, you know what I mean? And he fought Charlie Brenneman at 170.
Yeah, and Dan Hardy.
Dude, he took L's at 170. He lost to Rich No Love Clementi. That's a throwback to a podcast we did in the past talking about records because Rich Clementi, I think I said it on that podcast. Yeah. Rich Clementi started off 0-3 and then ended up being, I believe, either 3-6 or maybe even 3-9 at one point in time, and then still like battled through, made it to the UFC, and got a win over Anthony Johnson.
Yeah, he was like a super legit fighter.
Super legit. So like, I mean, like, I don't think it's going to change, and it would just change weight classes too much. Like look at like Drew Dober would be like go from being a lightweight to a middleweight,
and that's important. I'm thinking about him specifically because he's kind of on the shorter side of things, if I remember correctly.
I'm not 100. If my guess, if you're like, how tall is Drew Dober? I'd be like 5'8".
Yeah,
like that would just. But like, I feel like that's a normal lightweight height.
Yeah, but hasn't he fought welterweight too?
I don't think so, but
okay, but still hits my point though. So he's 5'8", right? Relatively normal for a lightweight. If you have to go at 15 pounds and now you're a 5'8" welterweight, you know what I mean? It's like there's dudes in there who are 6 foot, 6'2", 6'4". Like now that's gonna change a lot, Yeah. So,
you know what I can't stop thinking about right now is, from my understanding. So Katie, it was either yesterday or the day before, was like, oh, I listened to the last podcast, and she was like, can I give you some constructive criticism? And I was like, no. And she was like, you say from my understanding a lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try not to. And then I said it like 7 times already in this episode, and every time, like, it's completely taken me off track. See, because now all I can think of is I say it a lot.
It's a Mario Kart banana peel.
Dude, it is. But I'm not going to, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to stop saying it. It's my out. It's like...
This is how you talk.
Well, from my understanding, it means that I can be wrong. Right? Like you
Yeah.
can't like comment under this video and be like, no, you idiot, the Shinya Aoki match wasn't on the same
Right.
card as the Gary Tunney match, because it's like, you know,
Yeah.
from what I remember or from my understanding.
Right, yeah.
Right? Which means that I'm saying there's room for error here. I'm not like doubling down.
Yeah,
on
you're
it.
not like definitely was on that card.
Yeah.
100%.
Right? Yeah. And I feel like it's a more, you know, professional way to be like, I think so.
Dude, the guys who commentate on fights who aren't like fight experts, like I was gonna say John Anik, but I mean he's been in the game so long.
Dude, he's like,
he's a fight expert.
he's a goat. Yeah. He's
Dude, yeah,
so
exactly.
good.
But like think early Mike Goldberg. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even again,
I like Mike Goldberg.
I love Mike Goldberg, but like those
Dude,
are
my Bellator fight, Mike Goldberg was on that.
That's one of my
And
favorite
dude, he
parts
was
of it.
spitting bars on me, and I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't know that about myself." He was like, "Coach, 7 years at Gateway High School, brown belt under Renzo Gracie." And I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "I didn't even talk to you. You just probably like went on the Stout website." And I was like,
Did
"You're actually
research.
you're doing research for the undercard." I was
yeah.
like, "This is sick."
Dude, super professional. That's why I feel bad using
Yeah.
him as an example of this. But like the guys who don't like know fighting inside and out, you know what I mean? Who are announcers, those are the kind of like verbal tools they need to have to be able to keep things transitioning and going smoothly. Because how many times do they have like a fighter on there who's just like kind of clunky in how they talk? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like which right there, that's my verbal thing. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I feel like that's more casual, which is probably more the vibe of this podcast.
I mean, dude, just like the way we
I'm not
talk
wearing a suit.
is.
Yeah, but do I say from my understanding when we casually talk, or I'm like literally doing it for the camera?
I'm gonna have to pay attention to that now, but I think you do.
I hope I do, but I don't know.
But hey, it's a good tool. Like, so what I'm trying to get at is it's a good tool to like keep things moving. And like you said,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it super official. You know, like it definitely happened. Dude, I can't tell you how many times you and I have said stuff on the podcast, and then I go back and I'm like, that's not true at all. Like,
Oh, for real?
Oh yeah. Well, what's the one example? I cut a clip of it. Oh, we were talking about the Omo Plateau.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, where did that happen? And you were like, oh, it happened at the Chaparrals.
Yeah,
And
it
then, like,
didn't. It happened
a
at
week
the
later,
Shriners.
You called me and you were like, dude, it happened at the Shriners.
Yeah, it happened at the Shriners because I was like, oh yeah, in the daycare back room. The Chaparral's back room is like a storage area.
Right.
The Shriners back room's a daycare.
With like the painted walls and everything.
Yeah, they got like the mats and like the cubbies for the toys.
Dude, it's hilarious.
Yeah. But whatever, you know. No one
Anyways,
comments on it.
taking it back to, I think that like all combat sports should be either in a cage or in a plexiglass box.
The plexiglass box won't work because I don't think it'll have as much, like if you think about hockey, right? Like some have give,
Yeah.
some don't. So like how do you make sure it has the give? And then like the sweat will smear.
That's a good point. And I thought about that and I was like, oh, you just have like a dude who's just got like a big squeegee and just, but then what do you do like mid round? Like
Yeah.
30 seconds in, a dude blasts into it. Maybe like, imagine someone's like clinch position. He's like hanging on the dude and his nose is right here and he's bleeding all over the guy's back. And then they just smash into it.
Also, depending on where you hit into it, like different surface tension, right? If you hit into it by a seam, there's more give there. If you hit straight into the middle of it, so you could see like cuts happen and stuff. Whereas the fence has like, I feel like the fence has more give,
Yeah.
all the way around.
Yeah, for sure. More uniform,
Yeah.
like squishiness to it. Yeah, that's a hard one. I don't know exactly like what the best option is.
I'm surprised we don't see any cuts by the fence though.
Dude, that it is crazy because think about like us training on fences. Do you
Oh my
remember
God.
when the first scout wall got put
Yeah,
in
we
the...
first got our first fence and we were
everyone's
so
like-
fired up. We're gonna go train on the cage, and we trained on it for like 15 minutes. We're like, all right, we're never gonna train on the cage again. It hurts so bad.
Yeah.
And like in the fight, you don't feel because you're all hopped up on
Right.
adrenaline and stuff. But like, dude, in practice, dude, I was like, it's not worth it. Let's go back to the mat wall.
Also, in a 15-minute fight, how much are you like scraping your back against a fence? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
even if you were on the fence a lot, like maybe 10 minutes. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Whereas in a
Practice.
hour practice of
Exactly.
like wall work practice, that's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like half an hour straight.
Not
Yeah,
worth it.
that's one of those things. Again, we dove into this conversation. I don't have any solutions, but
I
like,
can't believe we're still on this.
I think the cage is the best option relative to a ring.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the cage.
But I don't think there's anything, or I don't have anything that's better in my head yet than a cage. Maybe if you...
Have you seen the Karate Combat Pit?
I have. That's actually kind of interesting. I don't think it would work as well for MMA. Or maybe it would, but it really changed things. Like
It really
takedowns
changed things.
really changed. Like a lot of what we train is now like different.
Yeah, like it takes the wall away, but it like
Well, it doesn't take the wall away. It changes the angle of the wall.
the angle of the wall. So like you can't use it like defensively or even offensively. It like the way you would use it's different.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's wild. I haven't watched a karate combat event. I've only seen like clips of
Highlights,
like
yeah, me
Craig
too.
Jones like jumping off the pit into a
Yeah.
triangle. I think someone else just recently used a pit, maybe Ethan Krellenstein or something.
You know, for jiu-jitsu, I think it actually is a great idea because then that kind of like stops the
Out of-
ADCC
yeah.
issues. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So maybe for jiu-jitsu, that's a great thing. I'm just trying to think about MMA though. Like, and maybe it's just because it's so different than like how I view MMA and like how I view takedowns and like and takedown defense. But like, I don't know.
The one problem with the pit is you can't do. I don't know how feasible it'd be to do in a large venue because like you can't sit below it. You have to be sitting
Oh, that's
above it.
right. And like if you have a flat arena and then you have floor seats and then they have to build that up a little bit, well, yeah, you're not going to see anything. So they
Yeah.
would either have to raise the whole floor around it or dig it.
You have to
down in or
pull
something.
people away.
But with that
Well,
said,
even if like you know what I mean, like
yeah,
even
you
if
can't be
it's like
still too
dug
close
in,
to
like
it.
if you're sitting in the row in front of me, I need to like lean forward to
Mm-hmm.
see over you to see down a little bit.
With that said, everyone who is past whatever that line is, like everyone has completely unobstructed view now. So like there's pros and cons to that. I'm just trying to think about like the actual flow of the sport itself in the pit. Like how would MMA look in there? I'm just trying to think about how the takedown game changes. Like do you think that like who's someone who's like a fence takedown guy like Khabib?
Yeah, he would dominate in the pit.
Yeah.
He would absolutely dominate.
Do you think that
He would be like, he would dominate.
I'm just thinking defensively too now, you can kind of like, it almost makes walking easier. You know what I mean? Because like when you wall walk, it takes like energy because you're fighting gravity.
No, I think it makes it way harder. It does take energy, but then once you're upright, you're upright. You never get upright.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're
You
just
never
45
get
degrees, you're
upright.
still laying
Yeah,
down.
I think it makes getting up like way harder.
Because you think about it, you can't do the same techniques you do flat, and you can't do the techniques you do from upright. You're
No.
literally stuck at that 45. And
Which
you're
is like one of the worst places to be. So for example, if we were to take like a jiu-jitsu guard, okay, so seated guard versus supine guard. So seated guard is like I'm playing guard, I'm sitting on my butt. Supine guard is I'm playing guard laying on my back, right? My back is in contact with the mat. Now this is typical terminology for a standing passing partner. One of the things I want to do when you're seated versus supine is have you on that 45 or even maybe butterfly guard's better. In butterfly guard,
yeah.
like you could be all the way sat up where you could be dangerous, or you could be all the way supine back, which also you could be dangerous.
Right.
When I have your back on that 45, that's like the money spot. Now you've got nothing.
Now, is that because you're not high enough up to have your center of mass over your like butt?
Yes. So maybe if you did have a structure behind you,
That might help.
but no, because you can't rock back the
right,
man.
you have
but-
to go sideways. Dude, that would change like,
Yeah.
the sweep game drastically.
Dude, it's interesting, and I don't know if I like it now that I think about it, because like since it is changing things drastically, I don't think I like that. Like, I don't like change.
Humans
that-
don't like change.
Well,
you know?
but my thing is like, dude, we're still on this regular stuff, and you want to add? We're not ready
Right.
as a sport. We're not
Right.
ready for you to add in this like fourth dimension.
yeah, dude.
You know, like we're not ready, dude. We're still like on the first 20% of the regular.
Also, okay, think about this too, right? I'm just throwing wild things out here, which I'm not opposed to the pit. Now I'm thinking about, because when I first thought of it, I was like, no, it's too much change. But now we start thinking through it, I'm like, oh, there's pros and cons. I'm like, I kind of want to see this now. Maybe I start watching some karate combat, which I don't even know the rules of. But
What's it on? What's it even on? How
no
can
idea.
I watch it?
No idea. But hold on, back to what I was thinking. The next question is, what's regulation for how like long those walls are?
And what degree are they at? Are
Right.
they at a 45 degree?
Because like
60 degree?
Are you gonna get like a young Anthony Pettis who's like running around the whole thing?
I think they want that.
Probably, and I do too. You know,
I
what
gotta
mean?
watch. We gotta watch some. I'm sure we can find replays of it. I wonder
Sure.
what it's on.
There's good fighters in there too.
It'd be easy to find out what it's on too. Probably just Google it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we should do some more investigation.
Yeah. All right. We'll get back to you on Karate Combat. So let's move forward back to the one FC card or the one
yeah.
championships
Yeah,
card
yeah.
that we were supposed to talk about from the jump. This episode is titled
The Random Show.
A Random Show. The Rambling.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a rambling man. All right, so Will, you talk about these fights. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so let me start with the Cade Rotolo. There's only a couple fights I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay? So the first match is Cade Rotolo. That's another thing we could talk about sometime. Is calling a jiu-jitsu match a fight versus a match.
Yeah.
Different subject, but anyway.
No, let's talk about that real quick.
Okay, real quick. So I used to be very against it.
I used to be very against it. Now I just don't
couldn't
care.
care less.
I just don't care.
Yeah, dude.
You want to call it a fight? Call it a fight, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't
I don't
bother
give a
me.
shit what you call it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit what you call it. I mean, dude, to be honest with you, some of those matches at ADCCs, bro, they're fights.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
damn fight. These dudes are fighting.
The Rotolo, that was a fight.
Yeah, they're fighting.
Yeah.
They're fighting. So it's gonna be like, oh no, it can't be a fight unless there's strikes in it. What?
There kind of are though.
Well, hold on. Okay, yeah, no, that's what people like to say, but I disagree with it now. I might have said that when I was younger too, but I disagree with it now because, like, all right, boxing. Like, how many boxing fights do you have? Wait, no, a boxing match. It's called a boxing
Right.
match. Why is boxing a match? And wrestling a match, but MMA is a fight. You know, but you do a boxing match, but you're a fighter.
But also then we're just discussing like degrees of or like how much things are permitted. You know what I mean? Well, then if you're a street fighter, does that mean that then you get to tell MMA fighters, it's
It's a match.
fight, you know?
Well, that's what I'm getting to. That's the whole thing. But like in boxing, they call it a boxing match.
Yeah.
They don't call it, hey, I got a boxing fight this weekend. I got a boxing match. You know, I got a wrestling match. I say match when I talk about my jiu-jitsu or grappling. I'm like, oh, yeah, I have a match. Dude, I've said match a bunch about my MMA fights.
Dude, I was about to say Chael Sonnen calls fights matches
Yeah.
all the time, and I like love that.
There's been several times, like, on, like, interviews, I'd be like, yeah, my match this week. And it's like, yeah, dude. And, like, the thing is, like, I don't care what your terminology is. Like,
You know what
a
you're gonna
wrestling
do.
match can be a fight. A jiu-jitsu match can be a fight. An MMA match can be a fight. It can all be a fight, right?
Also, some MMA fights are matches. Sometimes they're not fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you know, and it's like, so people, I think the number one thing people do is they're like, well, there's no striking in jiu-jitsu, so it's not a fight. Well, there's no grappling in boxing, so it's not a fight. Well, there's no grappling in kickboxing, so it's not a fight. Like, there's permissible things and non-permissible things, right? Like, if you want to call it a match, call it a match. I like calling it a match because I think it takes like, I think it puts some like
I think it's more accurate.
more. It makes it more of a sport,
Yeah.
right? If you want to call it a fight, call it a fight. I'm good with it.
Okay, but let's harp on strikes for a minute, and I'm not making this argument. I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here. But if you take like slams are illegal in 1FC, correct?
I don't know.
I think they are. Doesn't matter. But if you take a grappling match where slams are illegal, dude, I'd be willing to bet if you like actually measured the forces involved in like a big old like 5-point throw versus
Yeah.
like the hardest kick you can throw, pretty sure that 5-pointer is winning.
You
Like,
think, I think
force-wise.
I don't know.
Dude, think about Fedor getting slammed on his head.
Yeah, no,
Which
that's
is harder,
pretty intense.
that or Crow Cop throwing a kick? I think the slam is.
But like, okay, isn't there something to be said with like the surface area dispersing the impact?
That is also true. That's
Because
very
like
true.
that crow cop kick is like, let's just say,
That much
yeah,
surface area.
yeah, it's like, you know, pound per square inch.
That's a good point as well. That is
Right.
also a good point. So, all right. If we factor that in as well, then I think things have switched now.
Yeah. Oh, like I liked your thing, like, you know, like it's like the car crusher.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If there's no wall on the other side, you're just getting pushed
Uh-huh.
really slowly by this thing. If there's a wall on the other side, now it's an issue.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah. But you're totally right. Surface area absolutely matters.
Yeah.
Um,
Yo, remember those one championship matches that we were
So-
going to be talking about?
Cade Rotolo had a really cool match.
He went against Francisco Lowe, who's a world champ.
Yeah, they were getting very
To my
spicy.
understanding.
And Cade, how would you describe that takedown? It was like Low shot on him, I guess, and then like on the way up, he hit that. What would you call it, a foot sweep or something? I don't really remember, dude. I was pretty tired last night.
I don't remember.
Now I'm mixing it up with his brother's match.
Now all I can see is thigh going between the switch to the hip.
Yeah.
I can't remember Kate.
Well, Cade got like a pretty sick takedown from what I remember, but I think it was like a defensive, like Low, if I remember, attacked first, and then when he was coming back up, I think he got hit with a foot sweep or something. But anyways, yeah, then Cade hit that. What do they call it? Rotolitine.
Oh my God, yeah. So he jumps on his back, right? And there goes where I was like a little shocked. I was like, okay, he's on his
Oh,
back.
that was it. That was it. Lowe's rolling away from him, and
Yeah.
as he rolls, he exposes back to Cade.
That is it.
Dove on
That's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He rolls away and he's like in a position like he's almost crawling
Yeah.
away. And I that is right. And I remember like watching it and you know, I was a little tired or something. And I'm watching it and I'm like, what's happening? Like this looked weird.
Yeah.
Right? And like, do you ever notice that when you watch like Rotolo matches, a lot of stuff just looks weird? It's like it's so weird because like I feel like they do like things like in like kids classes do. They make like things work that like you're like I don't think that's supposed to work.
And they do it in fast motion.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is if I'm trying to watch both of them and I'm like watching the space between them and I'm like just trying to like pick up on what they're both doing, it's like it's too fast and I can't see what's going on. If I just watch the Rotolo, who's competing, then like I'm like, oh yeah, he's got like, you know, like a 2-on-1, he's going, you know, Russian tie or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And then it like starts to like get more basic and I'm just like, but still fast, you know what I
Right.
mean? But yeah, you're totally right. They're doing like kids class stuff, but
Yeah.
just like
So let's talk about the finish. And then he's on his back and I'm like and then the match is over and I'm like, what happened?
dude, the angle they showed was awful.
Right. Like I didn't know there was a submission on him because he was in like a seatbelt position, you know,
yeah.
one arm under, one arm over, and you typically don't see like a finish from there. And then he hits what would be like a head and arm style choke from the back,
Yeah.
which is more closely related to a Darce than a head and arm
Dude,
triangle.
I was gonna say it should be called a what would
Rear
you call it?
Darce,
An
a back
inverted
Darce,
Darce.
back Darce.
Inverted, right?
No, inverted would be like so like a triangle is like straight up. A back triangle is from the back, but it's still straight up and down. Like your head is like towards my
Okay, their feet
like
are
like
away
like
from
if
you.
I have you in a yeah, the feet are away from
Yeah.
me, the head is towards me. That is a triangle. A back triangle, same thing. Your head is towards me, your feet are away from me, but it is from the back.
Gotcha.
An inverted triangle, your head is on the other side and your legs are towards me.
Okay.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
he hit a back Darce.
Inverted means we're like in
Right.
like a north-south-ish.
It switches, gotcha.
Yeah.
Which also, out of respect, we don't call it a triangle anymore. It's a leg Darce.
It's a leg Darce. But yeah, I just taught myself what inverted meant right now. Like it just all made sense. Like I was like,
things
as
you
I'm
knew.
explaining it to you, yeah, it's like I know this is what it's called. And then I was like, yeah, an inverted is like, I'm like, oh, because we're inverted. I was like, oh my god.
So, back inverted.
yeah, yeah.
Got it.
So it would be a back Darce. I think that would be the technical term for it because when you lock okay, let's talk anaconda.
Actually, I was about to
versus
say, would it be an anaconda or a
no,
Darce?
because a back anaconda would be a head and arm triangle. So if you think about a head and arm triangle, right? Where is the lock? Your lock, whether you're doing it like this or you're doing it like this, but your lock is near their arm side,
Right.
right? And then the pitting of the elbow is on the neck side, right? So if you were to do it from the back, the arm would go through and your hands would be locked underneath their armpit shoulder area. On these ones, the lock at the elbow to where the hand came through was at the neck.
on the neck side,
and the
yeah.
arm was in the shoulder area. Same as a Darce. So think about Darce anaconda. On a Darce, where's your lock? The neck side. On an anaconda, where's your lock? The arm side, right? The armpit side.
Right.
You know, so it would be the similar thing here. So it's like a back Darce. And to be honest with you, like, that's freaking wild to me.
Yeah, dude.
Like, so I just came from an open mat, and like, my goal was like, I'm gonna hit these back Darces today. I was like, I'm gonna hit these chokes. Because like I've been in that position because I do a claw ride all the time. I'm like, you're telling me I can just go like that and I can get a submission here? I'm like, I don't feel like I could, you know. I didn't get a chance. I didn't get on anybody's back today. A bunch of back to the matters.
Do you think it's body type dependent?
I think I would say yes because the Rotulos are also they do so you know how like I'll dive for like mixers and I'll dive for guillotines. They dive for Darces. Like part of their guard passing system is diving for Darces. And I do believe that the Darce and Anaconda is a body type specific movement to a certain extent. Just the same way triangles are.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like obviously anybody can do them, but to a certain extent, it's a little bit easier if you have longer arms in comparison to the width of your chest, right? I don't necessarily have a short wingspan, but a good portion of my wingspan is in my chest and shoulders, right? So the arm coming out from the shoulder, that's what I have to wrap you with. And if my chest is very wide, right? Well, then there's a lot, like look at all the room like between my chest and stuff. Whereas if your chest was skinny with long arms, then you wrap. You got more of like a noose-like wrap happening.
Yeah.
You know? So I do think that does play a factor into the Rotulos being able to do it maybe a little bit, maybe having a better body type for it than someone like me. But someone who is built just like me, Dante Leone, is the first person I've seen hit it. You know?
What, like competition? Like
in a competition. He did it in a Who's Number One match where he won the Who's Number One lightweight title versus Ethan Krellenstein.
Oh, so he did it on someone legit.
Yeah, someone super legit, from my understanding. He definitely did it. I don't know if it was that. I didn't do research before this episode. I wasn't like, let me go make sure I got my facts straight. I didn't know that I was going to talk about that.
I was going to say, we haven't talked about anything we were supposed to.
Yeah. Well, this is what we're supposed to be talking about, is the one championship.
Right. Yeah.
But like, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm going to mention how the first person I seen do is Dante. I didn't even think about that. We're already recording, and my phone's the camera, so I can't go be like,
yeah.
Was it the Ethan match? So it just is what it is. But I think it was the Ethan match. But he did it, and after he did it, I was like, I'm gonna start doing it. And then I tried, and I was like, I can't do it. Sean Williams actually taught it to Christian and I at a seminar. Christian, and Jess. I taught a seminar at the Henzo Main Academy for Bridget's women's group.
Yeah.
And then that was from like 9 to 11. And then we hopped in the car and we drove down to Jamal Patterson's school, All-Star BJJ in New Jersey. And Sean Williams was doing a seminar on head and arm triangle and a closed circle system between that, the back, and the mount.
Oh, interesting.
And he was having us finish that choke, the choke that the Rotulos both did yesterday. And dude, I couldn't even do it in drilling, but Christian could do it. So that's another thing that leads me to believe that having a certain body type may aid you in it. Also, it could just be a technical deficiency on my part. You know, like I do have that happen. Sometimes I'm like maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm not built right. And then all of a sudden, like I have an epiphany, and now I got it. I had that with the North-South choke. North-South choke, I went from 07 to 23, like being like, dude, like I would get it here and there, but when I would get it, I wouldn't know that I had it. Like I'd be like, I'm just like hoping.
Right.
And then sometimes I'd be like, maybe I have it and I don't. And then somewhere in 23, I was like, oh.
Figured it out.
Yeah, now I can just be like, gotcha.
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully that happens with this. But one of the cool things about that finish was after in the interview, they're like, oh, what is that called? Like they're just like infatuated with the submission, which I was too. Yeah. So I don't discredit them for the infatuation with the unique submission. And like Cade was like, I don't know, dude. Right?
They're so California. They're from California, right?
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding. Yeah, and he's like, I don't know, dude. He's like, my brother does it. Like he's like trying not to take credit for the technique, right? And and they're like, well, give us a name for it. And he's like, bro, and like it's like all over his face. He's like, I don't want to do that. Yeah, it's like written all over his face, and he like looks around the guy. He looks around him to like he's looking over at Ty, and he's like, what the hell, man? And I don't know if Ty said it or whatever, but he's like, the Rotolo team. Yeah,
right. Miss Chilson was like,
the Rotolo team.
We've never seen it before.
Yeah. But he did not want to name it. No. He was like, dude, come on. Yeah, he was just like, crap. He was like, I gotta be like a good sport about that. They're just good. They're just good people, right? Like if he was more like had more of an edge to him, he'd be like, no. Yeah. Like that's what he was feeling inside. I guarantee you, like if you could like talk to him, like. And be like, all right, like off record, for real.
What were you thinking?
What were you thinking? He'd be like, dude, I was thinking it's a head and arm triangle from the back. Give me, like, leave me the fuck alone.
He's like, dude, I had the neck. I started
He was like, I don't know, dude. Oh yeah, actually, one of my friends, two-time All-American for Pitt and Bethel Park's head coach Ty Nauman. He came down to the Friday Open mat yesterday, and he texted me afterwards after he talked some shit about me not showing up when I told him I can't go to that one. But he was like, dang, he was like, it's harder than I remember or whatever. You know, incredible wrestler, but you know, hasn't done jiu-jitsu since like when he would come down and train with like me and Dom like back in those days, right? Like we're talking like, well, that had to be around like 2016, 17 type deals, maybe somewhere around there. And I was like, pro tip, grab their neck and squeeze it. I feel like that's what the Rotolas do. They're like, I feel like they're just like, yeah, there's moves or whatever, but like your body's supposed to bend this way, so I'm going to bend it the other way.
But dude, okay, I actually think there's something to that though, because I've looked at this kind of the way that like I look at striking, right? Or something that like, you know, I know is that, and it kind of follows that, God, what's it called? Dunning-Kruger? So
Yeah. Yeah, wait, is it the one where like you're new, so you know you don't know anything, and then you do a little bit and you think you know a lot because you've just learned so much.
Right.
And you're like, wow, I've came so far from where I was, so I must be all the way up here. And then you learn more and you're like, oh, actually, I'm stupid. Okay, until you're actually an expert.
More so, you know those memes where it's like a standard deviation curve and there's like dummies down on this end.
Oh yeah, that I don't think that's Dunning-Kruger. I think
No,
what I
it's not. That's just like
but no, it's like the bell curve,
right?
And it's like, oh, at the beginning you're like, oh, just grab the neck and squeeze it, and then like halfway through,
you have to know technique. And blah,
you're like,
blah, blah.
oh, I need a 30-degree angle, and I need to apply 40.
Danaher said that I need to do this, so
this
blah,
and that.
blah, blah.
And then you're an expert now, and you're like, just grab the neck and squeeze it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I think the Rotola brothers are.
Yeah.
It's like you have all these jiu-jitsu nerds on Reddit and stuff, and they're like, oh, well, technically it's a back darce and this and blah, blah, and, you know, and like you said, like, if you're at this degree angle, that matters here. And it's like, no, dude, just grab the neck and squeeze it.
Grab the neck and squeeze it. Like, ultimately, like, what you're trying to do is shut down these things here so that way blood doesn't go.
Yeah.
So however that occurs, it works.
Exactly. Oh man.
Okay. Yeah, so Cade's match was really great. He got that 50K bonus from Shawtree, Sityodtong. Yeah, man, life changing. Dude, I just hate.
Had to be from Joshua though.
Yeah, I just like they announce it in the ring. And like they make it so much about.
Dude, okay, and there's multiple things I don't like about this. One is that they go like 50K, and it's like, all right, wait a minute, you guys pride yourselves on being the biggest martial arts organization in the world, right? And I'm a big ONE FC fan, so I'm not trying to be that big.
Dude, it's one champion. They're not ONE FC.
They used to be, whatever. And no one's gonna be like, wait, ONE FC, what's he talking about?
Yeah.
Like, from my understanding.
All right, go ahead.
They're supposed to be like the biggest martial arts organization in the world. Bro, make it a little more than 50K. You know what I mean? Like that 50K was the standard back in 2000. You know what I mean? And now here we are 24 years later and they're still doing 50K. And like, I'm not trying to scoff at 50K, but at the same time, you're a fighter, especially in one, you might only fight once a year. You know what I mean? And what do you think they're making in that fight? If you're like a regular one fighter.
I don't know, dude.
10-10?
Yeah, maybe. I really don't know. But like it seems like combat sports has not progressed as far as pay has gone. Really? Yeah. Like just from my experience, right? Like I debuted as a pro in 2011 for 4-4, right?
Also, no, we should clarify those numbers for anyone who's like 4K and 4K.
Oh, 400 and 400. Yeah. Right? And now like the debut going rate's like 350, and I'm like, oh cool, it's been 13 years, inflation, everything else. You know, I remember back when I debuted as a pro, gas was $1.85 a gallon. Now it's $4 a gallon, and you're getting less money.
Yeah, dude.
You're getting less.
It's crazy.
You know? Yeah, I'm just like, man, like
so
the rate is what the rate is, I guess.
So not only do we have this amount of money,
not only that, dude, but tickets to my fights were like $35. Now, like, you know, like standing room in the nosebleeds is like $50, right? So like, I'm just like, oh, dude.
Yeah, the math,
I'm like, all right.
something.
Hey,
but okay, so you have this amount of money that is relatively small, right?
Right.
And then like, not only do they say it like so exuberantly, like they're, you know, the greatest thing in the world, but then also they have to attach Chatri's name to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Straight from Chatri's Sityodtong or whatever his name is. And
is it his money? Is that it? Maybe that's why.
I don't know.
Maybe it's like not out of. Maybe it's like literally his money.
You know what? If it is, then good for him. And whatever. But still, dude, I find him to be slightly annoying.
Well, I'm like super like anti him right now after like his like dramatic support over that DQ.
Dude, no. Okay. Also, do you remember what you were originally upset with him about?
Yeah, he was like only world champions, or
Well, he said
he
something
was
slightly
super anti, yeah,
disparaging
to
D1
wrestler.
wrestlers.
Yeah.
Do you remember when what was his name, Vanilla Thunder, the Canadian dude who I guess was a D1 wrestler last night
Oh, was he the dude
with
who with the
the
shorts?
jorts? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like one of the first things they said, "Oh yeah, he's a D1 wrestler."
Yeah. It's
So
like,
like
yeah, yeah,
they're
but
trying to have
yeah.
it both ways a little bit.
Yeah, he was like disparaging it like it's like not a big deal,
Right.
you know.
But yeah, dude, they like come out and they're like straight from Chaudhry 50K and like
Yeah.
it's like why don't you pay the fighters enough to where 50K is like, you know,
It's like, oh, cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, we don't have much time. Should we chat about some other fights?
Yeah, let's talk about Ty's match. I want to talk about Ty's match.
Real quick, can I say one thing about the that Muay Thai fight with the Bosnian dude and the British guy?
Yeah.
Don't really care about the fight that much, but I am so glad that the Bosnian dude won just because, dude, the British dude's walkout was like probably 10, 15 minutes.
I fast forwarded. I fast forwarded through it to catch up. Remember?
Yeah, I do.
Because I was behind. I forgot one was on.
Right.
I was watching LFA.
Right,
And
when I
I was like, I
texted you.
forgot one. I was like, I forgot that was on, and I wanted to watch it because I wanted to watch the Rotulos.
Yeah. And dude, this guy walks out, right? And first of all, he won't take his shirt off or put his mouthpiece in. Like he's just jamming to the song. And it's like a I don't know, it's like a country song type of deal. And he's like jamming like it's like hardcore metal. And like you can see the ref is like Herb Dean's like, come on, dude, hurry up. His corner's like, come on. Eventually his corner goes and like tries to take his shirt off and he's wearing little gloves. He can clearly take his own shirt off. He's like, oh yeah, takes it off. And then he keeps like he puts his mouthpiece in. Herb Dean starts like doing his thing. He takes it out, gets in the ring, puts it in, takes it out. It's just like literally every opportunity he could. He kept taking his mouthpiece in, and I was like, dude, at this point, I hope you forget to put it back in. And he was just like so obnoxious the whole time. And at one point, he like humped the dude, and then was like, oh no, it's cool. It's like no. Once you do that in a fight, like dude, fuck
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean? Like now, oh dude, I was so glad he didn't win. It was so obnoxious. And then that dude's speech was slightly obnoxious too, but whatever. Let's move on to the next Rotolo fight.
Yeah. So, Cade or not Cade, Ty
Ty,
versus Isaac Michelle. They were both in the 88 kilo. Oh, about Ty not being that big. So again, like this is also Isaac Michelle at 185 too,
So okay, actually,
and
who
they
is
both
that
compete
guy?
at 88 kilo, which is 194.
So who
in
is that guy?
ADCC.
Is he good?
Yeah, he's good. He was at the most recent ADCC World Championships, which if you qualify for that, you're good. At the time, he was a B team guy. He was
okay.
like with Craig Jones and stuff. And there had been a falling out since then. So now he's with like he went from B
New
team.
Wave?
No, no, I don't think so. He was with the Tackets. At
okay.
Fight Dude, Austin's got like three.
Oh,
great
yeah, they have,
gyms. Yeah,
like-
so the Tackets, who are super fun too. They have a gym down there. I don't know if it's theirs, but they have the Checkmat gym down there called Fight Factory, and Cody Steele's out of there. And there's three Tackett brothers. The youngest one might still be youth age. But the other two are both won West Coast trials. They're phenomenal. The middle brother. From what I've been told by people have told me that William is just like technically like next level. And Andrew, but dude, Andrew just like he does jujitsu like a Rotolo. He just like
sick.
just everywhere, just like looks like a spider monkey,
Yeah.
and then he's on your back like hanging off. He does a front flip off it and like and stuff. But they're very very fun to watch and very very good. But Isaac Michelle, like I said, he was in the 88 kilo division at the last World Championships, and I believe they might have gave it like the match of the tournament with Wagner Rocha at it. But yeah, he was actually the reason that Craig Jones moved up to minus 99 kilo because so the way that ADCC works is at the World Championships you cannot have two teammates on the medal stand. So like there's a first, second, and third place. It is impossible for two people from the same team
Wasn't
to
there
medal.
some controversy when teammates would compete against each other?
There was way back in the day, but that's different, and it's along these same lines. So, in the IBJJF, we have this issue of closeouts where, like, me and you, we make the finals against each other, so we don't compete against each other in the finals. We both close out. One of us forfeits to the other. So, on paper, on record forever, I'm the world champion, you're the runner-up. But we go on the podium, we take a podium picture with the gold medal on me, and that me and you will switch. and we'll take a podium picture with the gold medal on you. And like in our hearts, we're the world champion that year.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
And types of things. So that's obviously not something you want,
Right.
like
As
in
the
like the
organization.
Olympics.
Yeah.
So at ADCC, no teammates can be on the medal stand at the same time. So if you have a teammate in your bracket, you will have to face each other by the quarterfinals. So that way only one of you could possibly be in the
Right.
semifinals, because the winners of the semis obviously go to the finals and will be on the medal stand. The losers of the semis go against each other for third. And then they'll be on the medal stand, right? So that way it eliminates it. Ty Rotolo was in a situation at these ADCCs where he had to go against his coach in his first match because there was 3 autos. There were 3 autos representatives in 88 kilo. So there can only be one after the quarters. Well, there's only 16 in the bracket. So first round, it's him versus Josh Hinger. Josh Hinger was like his kid's coach when he was a youth, right? And Josh Hinger ended up beating Ty by a back take towards the end. Big brothered him. Yeah. I mean, like it had to be that, right? And then Lucas Barbosa won his first match against like another person, and then had to go against Hinger in the quarterfinals. So then after the quarterfinals, there's only one Autos guy. So they were going to have the same issue with B team because they had J-Rod, Nicky Rod's little brother, and Isaac Michelle both at 88. And Craig was going to go 88 as well. But the story is like no one expected J-Rod to make it.
Yeah.
Right? When J-Rod won West Coast,
He's a blue belt.
back then, he was a blue belt, and like he wasn't supposed to win, and no one thought he was going to win.
Yeah.
And then once he won, they're like, now there's 3 of us in this bracket, and they're like, dude, Craig's like, I'm gonna move up a weight, and then he took silver up a weight.
Hold on, it's only tangentially related. Didn't Ty Rotolo finish like 3rd in absolute?
He finished 3rd in the absolute.
Dude, that's crazy. He's only like 185.
Yeah, and he beat Felipe Pena.
And Pena's like big, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, Pena's a heavyweight. Oh, he's a plus 99. He's probably like 225, 230.
Dude, that's nuts.
Yeah, so this is going to be a good match, though. Ty and Isaac, or on paper, it'd be a good match because they're both ADCC vets at the same weight. And you tell me how you thought that match went.
Dude, I thought it was just like super exciting.
Yeah.
And what's also cool is I didn't expect it to be good because I have
You didn't know that-
I didn't. Yeah, exactly. I didn't know.
I think you texted me like, "Who's this?" Like
I said, "Who's the
Wish.com Craig Jeffries?"
Yeah, because he walked out.
Yeah, both guys that were told I was winning against you, like just thought they were chumps.
Yeah,
and then I show
like-
up today, and I'm like, they're super good.
So what made it better for me though, because I thought they were just gonna crush them, and then it was like actually kind of like
Competitive,
entertaining. Yeah. And I don't remember how did that. There was whole. I just like when I think of their matches.
So much happens, you can't like play-by-play recall it. Like I can play-by-play recall matches that happened years ago,
Right.
but I can't play-by-play recall a Rotolo match that happened last
When
night.
I think of a Rotolo match, I just think Tasmanian Devil.
Dude,
You know what I
yes,
mean?
exactly that. It reminds me of like a Bugs Bunny cartoon whenever they're fighting,
Yeah,
and they
it
go
turns into-
inside the tumbleweed,
Yeah,
right,
dude.
and then they pop out of it. Yeah, that's
That's
what
how
it's
I
like.
remember it, and I'm like, wait a minute, how did they get to the ground? Like, I don't even remember who got the takedown. I thought that Ty shot. Now I can't remember. But
Dude, I don't know, but all I know is he got the same finish. They went.
well,
he went
but
to
the
Rotolo.
he hit that. What would you call it? A sweep?
Yeah,
Or
well, so he was going for a
reversal?
switch. So like he was trying to like in on the hips. He was throwing it through for like a wrestling
Mm-hmm.
switch. And the switch wasn't going. Isaac based down. So like if you think about it, if I'm throwing my left arm in between your legs to go for a switch, and if you don't know what a switch is, you're burnt.
A single leg off the bottom, kind of.
Yeah, you're burnt on this explanation. But Isaac was like body lock. So if I'm underhooking your left leg, I'm over top of your arm, underhooking your left leg, you're body locked around here. If you put the weight down to that side, I can't elevate and turn out. But the weight's down to that side. So he switched it and bumped him over that
Snuck
side.
his leg
right?
through beautifully.
Yeah, swung the leg through to like a closed, like a full guard position, and used the fact that Isaac was defending the sweep by dropping his weight down towards the left, and was like, okay, I'll take you to the left. So it was a great transition between
Timed
two
it beautifully.
very fundamental movements too.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like a lot of people in the comments were like, man, like can't understand that, can't wrap my head around it type of deal. And I'm like, oh, like I wrap my head around it immediately, and it's not that I'm better than you, but it's just that
You probably are better than the majority of people who are commenting on it.
Likely, but like I'm not trying to like portray that. What I'm trying to portray is that I have an understanding of the first move, which is a relatively fundamental wrestling technique, and the second move is a relatively fundamental jiu-jitsu technique. So like me being from both worlds, it was just like, oh, that's this and this.
And see, until you told me that, I didn't think of it that way at all. Because like I mean, yeah, I wrestled. I wrestled City League, right? But like, and also like I've done jujitsu, but my jujitsu is from you and Warren. It's so wrestling heavy that like for me, it's all just grappling. And like I didn't make that connection. Like, oh, those are two different styles.
Right. You know? And we have that happen a lot with Stout PGH jiu-jitsu students where. And it's one of my like I love this. So they'll go away on a vacation or they're visiting somebody and they train somewhere away, and they come back and they're like, Mike, and they probably have heard me say this happens because people are like, oh, when do we do more wrestling? We need to do more wrestling. I'm like, dude, we're doing we're doing wrestling all the time. You don't even know. Like you just are. What you're thinking of is wrestling is just feet to floor takedowns. Wrestling is far more than feet to floor takedowns. And then they go away, they come back from their vacation where they rolled at this open mat, or from visiting here where they rolled at this open mat, and they're like, oh, they asked me where I wrestled. And I told them that I've never wrestled before. And I'm like, I told you there's so much wrestling like in our jiu-jitsu that you don't even know you're doing it because this is all you know, so you think this is just jiu-jitsu, right? And it's honest, it's all I know too. It's not like my jiu-jitsu I have my wrestling background, but my jiu-jitsu also comes from Warren, which is heavily wrestling influence, so that's all I know as well.
And it's so much cooler.
Yeah, I think it's cooler. Yeah.
I mean, it's just objectively cooler.
Right.
So my understanding is it's cooler.
From my understanding. How was the main event? Is that worth talking about?
Kind of.
Because your boy
touch
fell
on it real
asleep.
quick. So I was on my way to falling asleep. So Regian or however you say his name, Ersel, this dude hasn't lost in like, I don't know, like 7 years or something, 20 some fights. I believe he was the only 170-pound Muay Thai and kickboxing champ and won. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he is. And he's just like had that reign forever. And he's just like really good, like really, really good. And so he's fighting this dude. I don't even remember his name now. He's the champ, but he's fighting this guy. And I was like, dude, like he's going to crush this guy.
Did he?
So the first round, I believe he won. Again, keep in mind, I'm literally falling asleep while I'm watching this, so like take it with a grain of salt. But I believe that Ersel won that first round.
From your understanding.
From my understanding, he won that first round based on volume, and especially like that kickboxing style. Like it's a lot of volume and stuff. And in the second round, he got dropped. Recovered pretty well though. Third round was a little bit closer. I could see it going both ways, but Ersel came back pretty heavily in that one. And then if I remember correctly, I thought he won like the other rounds too. It's a 5-round fight.
Oh, it's 5 rounds. Okay, go ahead, run this.
So even if round 2 is 10-8, and let's just say that the other dude won round 3, well, that's still a tie. But actually, they don't do ties in one. Then they go to criteria, and I think criteria is like who's closer to winning the fight, in which case if you drop the guy, then that would, so maybe the other dude did win, I don't know, but
and the other dude won.
Dude won, yeah, exactly, which again brought me to the other thing that I love about one championship is that they drop that glitter down, and every time this dude is like living his life dreams and giving this speech just covered in glitter.
Oh, God.
It's so funny.
Dude, if we get a fighter in like a 1FC or
see, now you're stuck too.
A 1 championships thing, like here goes what we LTYC are gonna do. We're gonna get an LTYC signature umbrella, and we're covering our fighter for the confetti. We're hopping in the ringer cage, and we're like, you're not doing this all covered in this like plastic glitter confetti.
Yeah, no, not happening.
Cool.
Well, so it was an interesting fight, but the big thing is just like that's the end of the reign of Ersel, and like, are they going to give him a rematch right away? So like the fight itself, it was kind of good, but like I would suggest that everyone watches back some Ersel highlights just to see how nasty he is, and like some of the things that he does that are like really, really high level.
Okay, well, there's one more thing from this card that I want to touch on, and we won't dive too deep into it. I don't think it's something that needs to.
Is this what we were going to talk about?
Yeah.
No, I want to talk about this.
Okay,
we got time.
All right. So in one, you are able to wear whatever you want, right? Whereas let's kind of compare that to the UFC or PFL, in which you are wearing a uniform, right? In the UFC right now, it's the Venom, fight kit. In PFL, they have their own kits
Right.
as well. What are your thoughts on that? Are you pro uniform? Are you anti uniform? Are you more so like you like the fighters to be able to wear whatever they want?
Okay, so I'm kind of split. When you texted me this last night, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I started thinking about it. I spoke with Marissa about it a little bit, and like I still kind of went back and forth. Okay, so here's my thoughts. On the one hand, and I think this is where I truly lie. On the one hand, I think it's best for the fighters if they can wear whatever they want because self-expression and whatever, but more so then you can get sponsorships and you can like really like make more money from that, right? Whereas
I agree with the sponsorships, but I disagree with self-expression.
see, but then again, I think it's only cool when I think what they're wearing is cool. So
Right.
what we're gonna talk about was last night. I was like, "Yo, dude, there should be uniforms."
Yes,
because that looks stupid.
So I think
also, hold on, I have one
it
last
makes
thing.
it look the whole thing look chintzy.
Also, do you remember? I forget the guy's name now, but do you remember the guy in the UFC who was wearing the
Yeah,
the
Dennis
Speedo?
Hall.
Yes, and his nut
Or
fell
Dennis
out.
Hallman.
Hallman, that's it. And his nut fell out. And Dana White was furious. Rightfully so. You're trying to put on this production, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you have to like start censoring things and like, it makes things not as awesome. So I think there needs to be certain guidelines, I guess. But at the same time, I would like to see fighters have the opportunity to make their money. I don't know. Maybe it should be on a
So yeah,
shirt going
well,
in.
no. Here's the thing. Like, okay, imagine you have your fight kit, your UFC fight kit. What if you could put your own sponsors on it? Then what's the
Yeah.
problem there? That way you don't have some dude wearing like jorts,
Yeah.
right? And like stuff like that. And then you have like like your more standard colors and stuff. Yeah, and just things like that. Like, not that I'm against like too wild of colors. Like Sean O'Malley fought in the pink shorts. Brendan Allen, I believe, is
Purple.
going to fight in purple, or did
Yeah.
fight in purple, or he's the main event tonight against Chris Curtis, right?
Yeah, is he fighting in
I think he's
purple?
fighting in purple.
I think so. I saw someone
so-
fighting in purple and I was fired up about it. I think it is him.
Yeah, so I think like to be able to choose your color is fine, but like, dude, do you need to like
Did you know wear spandex jorts like Vanilla Thunder?
yeah, dude. I just thought it looked unprofessional. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I probably wouldn't have prior to the UFC going to uniforms and stuff. But yeah, so if like you were able to get your own sponsors on there, you know what I mean? Because I do want the fighters to be able to make their money, but I mean, just as like, what do I think looks better? I think like the uniforms look more
Official.
clean and
So
official.
okay, here's kind of how I think it should be too. Is if you have a uniform, right, and like within that uniform you have options. So it's kind of the way the UFC has like different cuts of shorts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, you can have spandex,
Yeah.
long, short, whatever, loose, blah blah, 2000 style, big ones, whatever, right? And then they have like a range of colors or patterns or whatever that also fall within that. And then maybe they have their Venom thing, so the UFC is still making their money, right? But then they have certain
areas where you can get like it's like, okay, you got these 5 slots, 5 sponsors,
Right.
right? You know what I
And
mean?
maybe they need to have some restrictions on like who can sponsor, because I know that was
They
part of
do
the
have
thing, like,
subscription. They do have restrictions on
yeah.
it. Because when I fought in Bellator, there were restrictions, right? Like you couldn't combat their sponsors,
Right, yeah.
right. So like if they were being sponsored by Coors Light, you couldn't have Bud Light,
Right,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? So you had to submit your sponsors as
Yeah.
well.
But I do just love the idea of letting the fighters get sponsored by whoever they want. And then also, if you have someone like a Sean O'Malley or a Conor McGregor, someone who got really, really famous before they got to like the higher ranks, you know what I mean? Then it's like, hey, these dudes who would be making like, 20 and 20
Yeah.
are now able to make like, 150K flat just from sponsorships. Like, I love that. You know?
Yeah.
Like, let these fighters get paid.
I agree.
So that's kind of where I fall, is like there should be certain restrictions, but at the same time, let the fighters get paid.
Yeah.
And would you say within those restrictions, would you say there can be no jort pattern?
Yeah, I would go no jorts.
Especially if you're a giant,
It just like
maybe
I
juiced up dude named
I
Vanilla
think
Thunder.
also like maybe it was like the jorts versus like the like lime, like the highlighter color,
Yeah.
like his opponent. I don't know. Like I was just like, man, this like it just looked so amateur.
So speaking of Vanilla Thunder, have you heard of him from his wrestling career?
No.
Okay.
Did he
That's
wrestle
opening.
Division One?
Yeah, he's a Canadian dude who I guess wrestled D1. And then
There's a current Canadian dude wrestling D1 at North Carolina, Lachlan McNeil. He took fourth at NCAAs in 2023. I'm not sure what he did this year, but he's very good.
interesting. And then my follow-up question is you saw that fight, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want. You think he's juicy?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't pay attention like that.
I spoke with someone that we both know, like right after that fight happened, and he was like, "Yeah, that dude is definitely juicy."
Uh-huh.
And I
Uh-huh.
was like, maybe."
Yeah. No, I it didn't. Heavyweights, like to me, like I just like like it's not as like in your
Technical.
face. I feel like
Yeah.
because they're big dudes anyhow. So it
And
doesn't
also,
like
if they have a layer of fat, you can't tell. Like, do you remember Tim Sylvia popped hot? And,
Yeah.
like, he doesn't look like he does.
right.
steroids.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like more easily hidden on like certain heavyweights because they might still have a little bit of fat. And it's like, well, you're a huge dude anyhow, so like,
Right.
I think that's how huge dudes look.
Huge to huge isn't that different? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
yeah, no, nothing like struck me like that. No.
Got you.
All right.
Well,
Cool.
we should probably wrap this up because I gotta go run
right.
practice.
Well, let's call it. Hey, this was another great episode of Listen to Your Coaches, and we'll catch you next time.